everybody, welcome to your first myofascial release exercise for your virtual retreat. We're kind of here in my cozy bedroom. I think you can see the corner of the bed and the corner of the unfinished closet. So I apologize for that, but this is kind of the coziest place and where I can be as far away from the kids to film this as possible. So today is grounding day, and because we're grounding, we're going to work mostly with the feet and ankles and a little bit with the calves and the shins today, just to open up the lower part of the body, to find that connection and to find a little bit more release in the places where our body mostly comes into contact with the earth. In your practice later today, or maybe you've already done your practice, there's a lot of focus on the feet being on the floor, and in practice later this evening, our live practice, there'll also be a focus on connecting to the earth through the feet. So it's really important that we open these spaces to be able to create more space in the feet, the ankles, and the calves, to be able to go deeper and to ground deeper and to find more stability. So hydrating those fascial lines and getting the fluids flowing there and the muscles working is going to help you find more stability in this space. So you are going to need a tennis ball. I have to consistently hide mine from Sherlock, or else there's green fluff everywhere around the house. He's quick to destroy them. So you will need a tennis ball for today's practice, and that's pretty much all that you need. So we are going to start out in everybody's favorite posture that yoga teachers lovingly call toe torture pose. So what I will say is that we are going to go through the myofascial release together. I will do one side with you, and then you can simply rewind this video, restart it, and follow along again with me on the opposite side. Or if you remember what you did, you can just stop the video and go back and do the opposite side, okay? So the symmetrical poses you will do twice. Lucky you. Okay, so for toe torture pose, toe stretch, plantar fascia stretch, you're gonna come onto your knees. Now, if it's uncomfortable for you to be on your knees just on the bare floor on your yoga mat, you can place a couple folded up blankets underneath your knees. If this is too much flexion on your knees itself, you can place some towels between the knees. But what you want to focus on here is really tucking your toes under. I like to kind of scooch my knees back as far as I can and sit down on your heels. This is not necessarily the most comfortable pose. We tend to wear shoes that are either really supportive with high arches that don't allow the arch of our foot to kind of move and the muscles in the foot to move around a lot, or we wear feet that are shoes that are too flat that overworks the feet. Okay, so by stretching out the plantar fascia, we're giving the feet a little bit of opportunity to open up and release. And a lot of the other problems in the body that present themselves, especially in the lower body, start from tightness in the plantar fascia. So you can just stay here and breathe. If you need to come forward to release a bit, please do, and then come back into it. So find a comfortable place. We're going to stay here for about 8 to 10 breaths, okay? So shoulders down the back, close your eyes, and just focus on breathing. Come in and out as you need to. There's no need to stay here, but try and come in and get an equivalent of 8 to 10 breaths. If you need to pause, take a breath, come out, take a breath, come out, please do that. Now, if this does feel really good for your feet, feel free to press pause, stay here for a little bit longer. Otherwise, we're going to move into a posture that's going to work on ankle extension. So this is ankle flexion, plantar fascia stretch. This next posture is going to work on ankle extension. So just come forward, place the tops of your feet on the mat, and again, just sitting your hips back on your heels. If this is too much flexion in your knees, rolled up towel underneath. Maybe you need to prop your hips up a little bit. Okay, so we are working on the front of the ankles, but you need to support your knees in whatever way is comfortable. You don't want to stretch out and fix what's going on in the ankles and then end up with some problems in your knees. Okay? And if this is too much extension, you can always put a couple folded up blankets under your shins so that the ankles are at more of an angle, so that the foot is almost falling off the edge of the blanket. You do still want a little bit of pressure on the toes, but you can reduce that pressure. So find what works best for you. Come into the posture, just allowing the front of your ankles to release. Hands can just simply come to your lap. If you prefer the idea of hands to heart center, you can find that space as well. Shoulders drop down your your back away from your ears. And we'll just take 8 to 10 breaths here. So settle in, release any gripping or tension, and just find stillness, breathing into the space where you're looking to get the release. And again, if this feels really good for you, feel free to stay here as long as you like, breathing into it. Otherwise, you're just going to come forward. You're going to grab your tennis ball. So we're going to start working that manual manipulation of the fascia. So we're going to work just one side of the body, and then you can either rewind or just remember what we did and come to the opposite side of the body. So the first one is the plantar fascia rollout. So you'll need your tennis ball. If you do this often and you want to use a smaller or more dense ball, you can do that as well. But you're going to work really slowly here. So I want you to just start on the ball of your foot. And just move the ball back and forth, front and back, maybe small circles, just on the ball of your foot. So hold the ball and place pressure anywhere where you feel any tenderness, any spots that might do well with that. Make sure you're breathing nice and deeply here. Just rolling out just the ball of your foot to start. You can do this seated, or if you want a little bit more pressure, you can do this standing as well. I'm doing it seated, just limitations of filming. Just rolling out the ball of the foot. Hopefully you can see. I find that kind of rolling around that bone at the base of the big toe feels really good. I like the back and forth motion on the ball of the foot, but certainly little forward and back motions are fine as well. Okay, then let's come to the inside of the foot. So this is where the arch of the foot is, and it usually feels really good to apply some pressure to the arch of the foot. So you can move again side to side, front and back around that midsection of the foot. Make small circles if you want, and just holding with that pressure anywhere where you feel that it needs it. I kind of like to turn my foot a little bit to the side and really get in the instep in the arch of the foot. Again, just pushing down. Anywhere where you feel you need to pause, just breathing into that sensation. And then come to the heel of the foot. So whatever feels best. Maybe you want to rotate the ball around the heel of the foot, side to side motions, front and back, but do just focus on the heel. Now I know that there's not a lot of meat there. It might seem like there's not much going on in the heel, but trust me, there is. The base of the foot is where the back side body fascial line attaches. So it attaches right on the sole of your foot, goes up the back through the Achilles tendon, calf, hamstring, up through the IT band, psoas, up the whole backside body, and attaches right at the base of your skull at the occiput. So all of these things are very much related. It could be the case that for you, releasing your plantar fascia helps with any pain at the back of the base of the skull. Okay, so now you're just going to take the whole foot. So whatever feels good, just rolling out the whole foot, taking your time, breathing into it. Again, pausing, applying pressure anywhere that it feels appropriate. And you know, when I get to the end of instructing this, if you really liked this, you can pause and keep doing it. Focus on any points that you feel need a little bit of extra love. Remembering that all of this is for you, right? I've got these ideas in my brain. I'm here to guide you, but you have the freedom to take this wherever you want to take this. This is your practice, your time to really just settle in and dig deep and figure out what it is that you need from this weekend for you. Good. So we're going to put the tennis ball to the side just for a second, and we're going to just manually with our hands manipulate the foot. So I'm going to turn a little sideways so that hopefully you can catch what I'm doing. So you can sit in a chair, or you can just sit on something. I have a meditation pillow. You can sit on a block. We're just going to use our hands, and we're going to just massage the base of the foot. So you're going to start at the heel, and think of there being 3 lines down the foot. So the first line goes from the heel down to the big toe, middle of the heel down through the middle of the arch, kind of where your middle toe would be. And then the next line is going to go down the outside of the foot from the heel to the pinky toe side edge. So, you know, whatever way feels best for you, just take this downward motion with the hand, rubbing along that fascial line, that line of the foot. You've got a little bit more control here now that you've started to loosen up that fascia. As you manipulate it with your hand, if there's a certain point that you get to that feels stuck, you can kind of just apply a little bit of pressure there and just keep that forward motion going down that outside, or I guess rather it's the inside of the foot from the heel to the big toe. You might want to wash your feet before you do this if you've been tromping around in the garden in the bare feet. If you don't like feet, sorry, you can just skip this entire part. Okay, now let's go down the middle of the foot. So right down the middle of the heel, to the middle of the arch, right out to the middle toe. Just getting some movement there, manipulating the fascia, helping it to release and open up, stopping anywhere where you feel like it needs a little bit of extra love. Make sure you're breathing. It's the most important part. And then the outside of the foot, so outside of the heel all the way down to the pinky toe side edge of the foot. Just digging in there. You feel it starting to release, starting to open it up. Oh, if you have someone at home that wants to massage your feet for you, even better. And my kids are in bed, and my dog is pretty useless, but not useless. He just wouldn't be a good foot massager. If you can put the kids to work, even better. Okay, so now we're going to come to the top of the foot. So massaging of the top of the foot. Now, if you look at the top of the foot, you can see that there's kind of lines and channels between the bones that run down to the toes. So you're simply just going to take the thumbs and just lightly, push them down between the bones of the feet. So starting between the big toe and the first toe, and then between the first toe and the second toe. Not looking for perfection here, just moving with the breath. And between the third toe and the fourth toe, or the second toe and the third toe, whatever. The middle toe and the one next to it. And then between the pinky and the toe beside it. And then, you know, just putting the foot out in front, giving the ankle a little bit of a roll. Maybe you want to rest the foot on the leg, whether you're in a chair or you're seated. Just roll with the ankle front and back both ways. Good. Now, if you have a yoga block or something like a stack of books that you can grab, that would be fantastic. So we're going to work the back of the Achilles tendon. So we're just going to put a little bit of pressure there for now. So you want a block or something, put the tennis ball on, and then you're going to just put the foot on the tennis ball, and your body will naturally find the curve in the back of the foot between the heel and where it starts to come up over the calf. So you're just going to allow the foot to rest there. You don't need a lot of pressure. This is just putting a little bit of pressure on the Achilles tendon. If you need more, cross the other foot over the top. You may need to stabilize your body a little bit more though if you do that. It's just giving it a little bit more pressure, sinking in. You know, this isn't a big release. If you want to make really micro circles without the ankle or the Achilles tendon falling off the ball, you can do that. So that Achilles tendon, that big kind of sinewy tendon coming up from the heel up the back of the calf, should be resting on this. So you don't want the ball to the inside, you don't want it to the outside, you want that tendon right on the ball. And just this little bit of pressure of the leg kind of falling down onto the ball is going to be just enough. So this myofascial release doesn't have to be big. Sometimes it's almost like less is more. You want to get to that point of hurt so good, and you don't want to be rolling onto bone or anything like that. Just taking a couple breaths here, focus on releasing that gripping and tension, just letting it all go. This feels really good. You can hang out here a little bit longer, otherwise we're going to move on. So grabbing the tennis ball, you need your foot, maybe you prop it up on a block, maybe you put it on your thigh, whatever's working here. So now you're going to take the tennis ball and we're going to work this space underneath the ankle, right here. Okay? So you're just going to take the tennis ball. You don't need a lot of pressure, trust me. You're just going to work around the inside of the ankle. You can make circles around the whole ankle if that feels comfortable for you. Not a lot of pressure. It feels really good to kind of roll back and forth on top of the ankle, making that circle under the ankle. So again, not a lot of pressure needed. Just breath, and if you want to just hold it in a certain place, if that feels comfortable, you can do that. I'm kind of leaving this up to you. This is guidance, but your body is really the most important teacher here, especially in these myofascial release techniques. So do listen. Do take what you need here. Do go where you need to go. Okay, good. Now we're going to do the same thing but to the outside of the ankle. So same idea. You can sit however you want. You're just going to take the ball and kind of just roll it around the outside of the ankle. I like to have the sole of my foot on the floor for this one. So you kind of just work the tennis ball into those areas around the ankle. again, just holding anywhere where you feel you need some extra pressure, making some small circles. If this feels really good for you, keep working at it. Otherwise, we're going to come to the front of the shin. So you have two options for this front shin. So if you take your hand, you can feel kind of the knife edge of the shin bone here. And you want to take the ball and roll it to the inside, so midline. So I'm using my right leg, so I'm rolling to the left of that, that shin bone. So the ball is just going to roll up and down. Now, if you feel comfortable doing this on the earth, kneeling and rolling the ball up and down on the shin, you can absolutely do that. So if that works for you and you can get a little bit of extra pressure in there, do that. Otherwise, just going to find that inside of the shin, rolling the ball up and down, holding extra pressure wherever you want, nice and slowly. Good amount of pressure, just rolling out the front of the shin. Make sure you breathe into it. If you want to get a little bit into where the calf is, you can. Yeah, why don't we do that? Just take tracks up and down the inside of the leg from the shin bone kind of to the inside meaty part of the calf. Just really manually manipulating the whole inner side of the right leg. Breathe, holding, especially in the calf muscle, there might be some places that are extra tight, that need a little bit of extra love. Good. So we're doing that inside part of the right leg. Make sure you're breathing. And you'll want, because we're doing some myofascial work today, you will want to, after you're done this, probably drink a whole glass of water and try and increase your water consumption today if you don't normally drink a lot of water. Good. We're going to do the same thing on the outside of the leg. So from that bony ridge of the shin all the way over to the meaty part of the calf, just going to roll your tennis ball up and down. Again, if you prefer to do this from hands and knees and you want to go on your side, and roll out the side of the leg, you can do that. If you need that little bit of extra pressure, I'm going to leave that to you. If you are a person that is doing that, you will likely know what I'm talking about. If this is your first foray into myofascial work, or if you have maybe some limited mobility, try just using your hands. Okay, it's not about the depth here, it's really about using the breath and just really getting into the fascia. We're not trying to stretch anything out here. We're just trying to unkink these little fascial hoses, or like little, garden hoses. And we want to unkink them so that the fluid can move through them again, so that they become supple. Good. Now, last exercise for this leg. Again, you might want to get your yoga block or a stack of books, tennis ball on, and you're just going to lay kind of the top meaty part of the calf on the ball. Okay? So you're going to start just below the knee, and you're just going to lay the leg on there. Two choices here. You're going to want to move the ball kind of down the whole back of the leg. So you can sit and hold maybe for 4 or 5 breaths and then move down a little bit lower. Or if you feel comfortable, I'm just going to switch legs for a second so you can see. If you feel comfortable moving, you can lift the hips up and rock the body back and forth to get into that kind of the line between what you just did. So we wrap the ball around the outside, we wrap the ball around the inside, and now we're getting into kind of the area of the calf that comes straight up from where the Achilles tendon would be. This straight line from knee to Achilles tendon. So either holding, pressing and holding, or moving the leg back and forth. If you're holding, just move it down, maybe 1 tennis ball length. There will be certain points in your calf that are more tender than others. This second tennis ball length for me is quite tender, so I need a lot of breath here. My kind of gut reaction is to like engage my hip flexor and keep my leg hovering a bit, but you really want to let go of all that tension. Unless it's painful, you do want to breathe into that sensation and just let it go. That's what you want to feel. And then just move it down 1 more ball length. We'll do 4 ball lengths to get down the entire calf. And 1 more. If 4 ball lengths wasn't enough for you and you want to take it in smaller increments, please do so. Just pause and take it at the speed that you want to take it, the increments that you want to take it. If you've been rolling back and forth, you can stop anytime. Just make sure that you've been breathing. But if you're doing the hold, make sure you do just let the body be heavy, and for that ball to just press into the fascia and help it to release. Good, and just for completion, let's do a whole plantar fascia roll out 1 more time before we finish this side and go on to the next side. So find the ball on the floor, standing or sitting, and just taking the ball around the whole foot, kind of whatever feels good for you. Really get into the arch of the foot. Slow with breath is always better than fast. I have a tendency to whip the tennis ball around the sole of my foot, which I know is not good. So yeah, slow it down. I try my best to slow it down, but sometimes my brain takes over. But I do like to press the inside of my arch. I like to go around that bone underneath the big toe. And even pressing right in the middle of the heel feels really good as well. Good, and then just bring the sole of that foot to the mat. Okay, so that is your myofascial exercise just for the right side of the body. So you can rewind the video and do it all on the opposite side. So you will start again with the toe stand and the ankle flexion. So go all the way back to the first exercise, do the symmetrical exercise first, and then do the opposite leg. And you can come back to this anytime today, anytime you feel that you need to kind of connect to your feet and open up that space to feel more grounded into the earth. This will always be here for you. And thanks for joining. I'll see you tomorrow.